What's up, guys, and welcome back to my channel. It's been a long time since I made any content. I think somewhere along the lines of about 10 months since I pushed a YouTube video. But I wanted to hop on here and just give my thoughts on the overall market because people are very 50-50 and split on where they think things are headed, whether what we experienced with Bitcoin going to $125,000 was the top of the cycle, or if we have one sort of rally, one sort of leg up left. So I figured I'd hop on here. I've been getting kind of the itch to get in front of the camera and just kind of yap to you guys again. And so I'll just give you my thoughts on the overall situation in which we find ourselves in, and we'll make it a relatively short video and just discuss those specific topics. All right, so this is how I essentially see what's currently happening. If you take a look at the chart here, we are currently battling for this support level of around $103,000. I'm currently looking at the weekly Bitcoin chart, and this green line is sort of the line in the sand that we want to close above to continue any sort of rally throughout the end of this year. And just going back, you can basically see that throughout this bull market, every time that we have tested this green level, we closed above it, bounced above it, and then continue to put in new highs. We're currently below the level of $103,000, where Bitcoin is struggling to maintain this support level. We saw it close briefly above it last week, and we're going to have to see if we can try to close above it this week as well. But this is the main level that I would look at if you are essentially long crypto, whether you think we're going to have another rally up, whether you think we're going to have another leg up. I would be looking at this level. We want weekly closes above it, and then the next battle, the next test would be this green band and this red band here, currently sitting at around $109,000 and $113,600. So these are the levels you want to be looking at. Whether or not this level is held remains to be seen. I think if we get a few weekly closes below this level, I could probably be convinced that $126,000 Bitcoin was the top of the cycle, and we're going to have to kick the can down the road for a little while in order to see what happens next. So look out for these levels. We have until Sunday, obviously. We have yet to have a weekly close below this level. We have until Sunday to prove, the bulls to prove that we can get above it again. And frankly, if we close below it for an entire week or even 2 weeks, it doesn't necessarily mean the cycle tops in. I would just say the odds continue to increase the more weeks we close below it. So this is a very popular take, a very common take in terms of anybody who's looking at sort of like macro charts, anyone who's not stuck in the 5, 10 hour, 4 hour, even 1 day chart of Bitcoin is looking at these levels and saying, okay, we would really love to hold these levels. And the reason we're talking about Bitcoin today isn't necessarily because, you know, it's the most interesting asset or that's what everyone who watches this channel holds. It's more so just Bitcoin leads the way. And if Bitcoin is in a downtrend and Bitcoin put in its cycle top, then likely all our beloved altcoins and or NFTs, if you're still holding any NFTs, are likely not going to see much amazing price action in the near future. So you want Bitcoin to be strong in order for the rest of the assets that you find more interesting to do well as well. So right now I'd be heavily watching this area. I'm essentially in two minds where I'm holding a bucket of cash and a bucket of Bitcoin and also a portion of my portfolio in Hyperliquid. This is a coin that I've been incredibly bullish on throughout the whole year and has done really well throughout the whole year, but now seeing a sell-off now that the market and Bitcoin is essentially seeing some weakness. One of the things that we're seeing recently that everyone's kind of frustrated with and kind of over is just the almost a decoupling of stocks and crypto in general, where stocks continue to put in all-time highs or continue to see really nice moves to the upside where any correction kind of gets gobbled up and we can continue to put in better and better price action. While, you know, you look at the Bitcoin chart and it doesn't look like that really at all. So I've seen some theories around liquidity flows and how Currently, the money is in speculative stocks, top 7 tech stocks, and big companies, where the shift of attention has moved towards equities and stocks. And hopefully, later November into December, money shifts back into the crypto world. Whether or not that's how this plays out, I don't think anyone is going to be able to tell you yes or no, but these are the levels you want to look out for. And unfortunately, what happens when Bitcoin is showing weakness like this and stocks are having a really good run of things, this is kind of where you start to think about, what if stocks roll over even more aggressively? What happens to Bitcoin then? Does that mean money is going to flow from stocks to Bitcoin and Bitcoin is strong and continues upward price movement? Or is it going to get hit even harder knowing that equities aren't performing well currently either? So also something we need to look out for if you're holding a basket of altcoins or Bitcoin or Ethereum or Solana or whatever it is. These are the things that you want to consider. We also have to consider all of the different macroeconomic things happening right now, where it's the government shutdown that's going to end soon, whether it's regulatory stuff, whether it's interest rates, whether it's, inflation, all of these different things that the market is looking at and considering, and all of that gets factored into price action. Obviously, a bullish news headline could have the market trend back up. Whether it's a short-term movement or whether it's related or unrelated is completely arguable on both sides. I would tend to say that news headlines likely affect futures and leverage traders more than spot holders. I don't think you're going to see large price movements in the crypto section based off of headlines for spot. I think it'll mainly be leverage. It'll mainly be futures. It'll be these sorts of things. And what we saw on October 10th, where we saw a huge cascade in prices to the downside, where a lot of leverage was wiped from the system, these are the sorts of things that weaken the market and reduce confidence in the market, where you could have had a 2x leverage position on a super high cap crypto coin and gotten completely wiped out just due to some very clearly mismanaged things and very likely some manipulation in price action. These are sorts of things that reduce confidence in the overall market. And this could be, this could be what we're seeing, where we see a bit of a fallout in confidence revolving around crypto, not necessarily Bitcoin, but definitely altcoins, where, a lot of people lost a lot of money if they were using leverage and not holding strong spot assets. We're kind of feeling the pain now from those cascade of liquidations that, we saw about a month ago. So if you want my opinion on everything, I am completely of two minds. I really have no idea where we're going. So what I've done is I've hedged my portfolio both ways, holding some cash where I will use that to farm some stablecoin yields in DeFi. I will look to DCA into some strong positions if we just continue to capitulate downward and we get weekly closes below this green band. And then I also have some spot Bitcoin and some spot Hyperliquid. And I have a small leverage position on ZEC as well. This coin has been insane over the past month or two. And so that's kind of where my head's at. I don't really know where we're headed. I would love to see one last rally going into late November and throughout December. What we've seen many times in the past is Bitcoin leads the way in November and December. And this chart, Bitcoin dominance, continues to trend higher throughout November and into early December. And then, hopefully we see altcoins run. But this is all dependent on whether we can hold this green band and we can have a, bullish price movement from Bitcoin, hopefully within the next few weeks. So whether or not the cycle top is in or not, I think the jury is still out. I'm seeing people starting to completely take hard stances in the sand, where they're like, hey, the cycle top's in, or no, the cycle top's definitely not in. But I think the jury's still out. I don't think we know yet. We have so many things coming up at the end of the year, where the government shutdown's going to end soon. We have inflation data and unemployment data all coming in soon. The government's been shut down for months. And so we don't have accurate inflation job data. And the market uses those insights to price where things are headed. And so I think there's a lot of uncertainty in the market around that. And the less money is willing to be committed to riskier and riskier assets, and cryptocurrency is on the riskier scale of things. So be on the lookout for this level of $103,000 Bitcoin. Be on the lookout for weekly closes below this level. This Sunday, I think, will be important to see if we can close above it again. And then from that point, we just kind of see what happens. I mean, let's discuss the scenario where $126,000 Bitcoin was the cycle top, and some altcoins did really well, and some altcoins basically did nothing for 4 years. Let's just say that's the cycle top. I think for a lot of people, that would be very disappointing and frustrating and unfortunate. But I think that also might present opportunity for folks to DCA into strong positions throughout 2026, where at that point, we'll have lower interest rates. Likely there'll be more money in the system. You'll be able to, borrow debt for a cheaper price. And so these sorts of things usually stimulate equities even more, and usually stimulate risk assets to the upside because the dollar weakens, and then assets just in general appreciate, kind of like this fine line and kind of like this balance in between the two. So I'd love to see Bitcoin get above this green band again, and I would love to see a really fun, exciting end of the year where things go nuclear. Jury's out for that. I'll be watching it very closely, and we'll go from there. I'll probably start making videos again, whether it's on a weekly basis or a bi-weekly basis, just about things I find interesting, market insights, my thoughts on the whole thing, my portfolio, things I'm holding, things I'm selling, things I'm trading, these sorts of things. Not sure how frequent it'll be, but I'll be here just to check in, and just give my thoughts on how things are headed, because I don't know, I just felt like I had the itch to do that again. So I appreciate you guys for watching. If you are still subscribed to this channel, I would greatly appreciate you guys hitting that like button down below, and we'll see how the rest of the year pans out. But if you're underwater in altcoins and you're waiting to be saved, watch out for these levels, and be willing to cut positions if you have to. Like, it would suck, but this blue band is not completely out of the question. If we cannot hold this green band level and we just keep chopping and chopping and chopping, we will touch this eventually. And then I think if we touch this blue band, we would see an aggressive rally off of it, because you don't touch this band that often, and when you do, it usually leads to some nice moves. And then if you're really bearish, you could start talking about the green band as well. This lighter green band. So regardless, I'm getting off topic. Look out for these levels, and we'll see how the rest of the year pans out. But good luck in the cryptoverse. It's not the easiest thing to navigate, and we'll just try our best. Peace, guys.